Again, I promise to be short. Okay, Coach Laura Lindsay Mark, a legacy. Again, I'm bound to her by the sport of lacrosse, go figure. She's a dear friend, Maria Longley, and a mother of a player of Laura Mark. Her impact on my family goes way beyond the field, no doubt. There's a lot of great resumes floating around. Laura Marks is one of the most impressive out there. She went to school at Deerfield in Massachusetts. She was a scholarship athlete recruited to play field hockey at the University of Virginia and captain and a 4-year starter. Who plays Division I sports and decides to play the other season, and she walked onto the lacrosse field and made the team and made 2 Final Four appearances. And if you don't know lacrosse at UVA, it's a top 10, a top 20 program every year. I played at James Madison way back in the day, and we never did beat you, and it was really, the Wahoos. So a powerhouse for her. I think what we all hope is that we can eradicate the term non-traditional area. I know for me that's a goal. Let's make this a traditional area of lacrosse. Laura helped 3 girls in the same year back in 2014 be recruited at top Division I programs. Lydia Sutton, sitting here, was an absolute phenom and played at USC, top Division I program, lit the world on fire, made us famous. Lauren Kelly, University of Louisville, ACC, and my own daughter was lucky to squeak out a spot at Duke. This had not happened before in one class, and we really think all the girls will say they credit Coach Mark for this. Laura has a 93-win record over 8 years of Blake, so it's kind of Coach K basketball territory, and she won 6 Minnesota State high school championships, so really amazing, Laura. What are her hallmarks? I know many of us coaches, we look at a game plan and we think of the 10 things we need to change, fix, adjust. Laura Mark her knack was distilling it down to 1 to 2 items. She's brilliant, and she would, Anne would come home and say, Mom, I'm just supposed to do these 2 things. Really? Just 2? So she would distill the game down and isolate 2 or 3 items. Those of you that are refs, if you have refed a game with Coach Mark, shall we say, what is the word? Active? Animated might be better. So we always had fun circulating the photos of Laura afterwards where it kind of looked like hand signals, but there was a lot of language, maybe. Nice language, but it was going on, not bad language, but there was a in-your-face 5, yes, passion. So what I'm saying is passion. She may have thrown a few baseball hats tossed to the turf in her passion if you kind of didn't do, or things didn't go to plan. I'm kidding you when I say that animated. What I mean is brilliant, a strategy coach, and you were amazing. I think we all have the power to affect lives as coaches, as refs around young people, young men and women. Laura, on my life, has impacted my family. My daughter was an okay student at the Blake School, but she wasn't a great student. And she would definitely not have gotten into Duke without lacrosse. And she ended up marrying the team manager 8 years later, that was 2 years ago. Playing college lacrosse opened doors for her in ways we would never imagine. And I will categorically say that all of that started on a lacrosse field at the Blake School at Hopkins. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Maria. I'm really honored to be here tonight. I want to, of course, thank Mark and the Hall of Fame committee for putting this together. And I feel very privileged to be part of this introductory class. So many of the people in this room really helped start and grow the game of Minnesota lacrosse long before I ever stepped foot in Minneapolis. And I really believe that I walked into coaching at exactly the right moment in time because of all the things that you all did to make it possible. So thank you. We've all said that sports in particular are a gift, and they certainly were a gift in my life. They brought me many places to the University of Virginia, and then ultimately I fell in love with Minnesotan and moved here. My first job was working at Blake, not as a coach, but as an administrator, and I was walking the hallway, and a woman by the name of Deb Wood, some of you may know Deb, found me, tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "Hey, I hear you played college lacrosse." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you want to be my assistant coach?" And I was like, "Sure, that sounds like fun." Fast forward to the spring of 2006, our first coaches meeting. She was putting together plans. She got to the end, she looked me in the eye, and she said, "So at the end of the season, I'm retiring. Do you want to be the next head coach?" And I was like, "Sure, that sounds like fun." And that's how my career at Blake started. Fast forward along 8 years, and an amazing 8 years. It was an incredible run at Blake, and truly a gift to be the head coach at the Blake School. Of course, I loved the wins and the losses and all of that. If you ask anyone, I'm a big fan of winning. But most importantly, it was the people, the players, the parents, the coaches that I played against, the officials who made my time memorable, and so I want to thank many of them. Like I said, it was a gift to be Blake's head school coach, and chief among those gifts were the student athletes I got to coach. I was lucky to have incredible multi-sport athletes, Miss Soccers, Miss Hockeys, who decided to give the sport of lacrosse a chance. These were incredible athletes who already knew how to compete like hell, and all I had to do was teach them a few things about how to play the game of lacrosse. I also, of course, had Lydia Sutton on my team for 6 years. That's right, she started as a 7th grader, so if you ever watched her play, you know that was a key #1 advantage for the Blake School. Behind all of those players were parents like Maria. Now that I'm a parent and my kids play sports, I know how much time and energy a coach puts into being with a student athlete. And it was a real privilege and a responsibility to be that person for so many girls. And a large part of it was because the parents let me do my job. Maybe they didn't like it all the time, I don't know. Most of them didn't know the game of lacrosse, so that sort of helped a little bit. But I was very lucky to have incredible parents who supported me, and most importantly, gave me the opportunity to get to know their amazing children, to be part of their lives, and I was really, really grateful to all those parents. I also think that in order to be really great at something, you have to look for a bar, and a bar to reach, and our reach for all those years I was at Blake was Eden Prairie and Judy Baxter. There's nothing like a rivalry that makes sports great, and Blake and Eden Prairie had that for those years. And I'm grateful to Judy because she had such an incredible team that always made us better at what we did. But more importantly, after every game, every state championship, I would wake up the next day, I would have an email from Judy Baxter telling me what a great game it was, win or loss. The last one that we played in 2014 was titled Friendship. And I think that says a lot about Judy and a lot about the game of lacrosse and sports in general. 2 last things. I had a great partner on the field. I had a great partner at home. My partner, Linda Hoker, who's back there in the corner, was my assistant coach for most of my time at Blake. She was an incredible coach in her own right. She was the calm to my crazy. She was the organized to my disorganized. She was the one the girls could be like, "Hey, what did Coach Mark say? Can you please help us out?" She was the one who calmed me down when I started yelling at Julie. And she's an incredible person, an incredible coach, and thank you, Linda, for putting up with me. And then, of course, my partner at home, my husband, Ethan, in the corner. I took this job as a newly married couple. In 8 years, we had 3 children. And for anyone who raises a young family, you know that if you both have 2 full-time jobs and your spouse decides to take another job that is mostly nights and weekends, that means that you're spending a lot of time at home with our kids. So I'm grateful to you, Ethan, for always supporting my dream. I'm grateful to Jack, George, and Hadley, who are now all 18, 16, and 11, for being around. And I'm just grateful for the gift of sports in my life and for being part of this group. So thank you very much.